Did Activision just solve Call of Duty's cheating problem last night in a move that I don't think anybody was necessarily expecting? In today's video, I wanted to look at a little bit of news that I saw last night and I've seen it reported a little bit more widely today about Call of Duty's cheating problem. And this comes at a time where obviously there's tons of focus on what's going on with not just Warzone but other games too. I know Valorant has recently come under fire. A couple of creators have spoken out saying that actually the cheating there is worse than ever and is making the game nearly unplayable, even though they have this kernel level anti-cheat that's meant to be way more intrusive than any others, that people for a long while thought would be the gold standard of anti-cheat. That's still not working well enough. People who are playing Valorant are saying there's a big problem. And of course, it's only a couple of weeks now until Verdansk comes with Season 3 of Warzone, and I'm sure there's people at Activision who are hoping this is going to bring a lot of lapsed players back to the game, so they surely want the game to be in the best state possible. And I know not everyone has stopped playing Warzone just because of the cheating problem, but it's definitely something that influences it. You know, if you're someone who plays Warzone quite a lot, it's very, very frustrating to lose games to cheaters, or to even just be in the mindset where when you lose a game, when you get killed, you're not sure if the other person was cheating or not. So first of all, let's talk about what's the big thing that Activision have done differently yesterday. I saw an IGN article about this and they were reporting something that Lunchtime YouTube had tweeted about, and some people on the Call of Duty Creators Discord had been talking about, that Activision had managed to file cease and desists against 4 major cheating providers. So these cheating providers had put up messages on their Discords or on their websites, not just saying, hey, don't use our cheats for a little while until we sort them out, which is something that's happened before. You know, when Ricochet gets updated and they can now detect cheats, sometimes these cheat providers will be like, hey, we'll give people a free weekend once it's sorted, or we'll refund you some time, but don't use our cheats for time being. Instead, these cheat providers are actually saying, we're shutting down. Like, nope, we're not going to make cheats for Call of Duty anymore. Activision have got the legal teams involved and are shutting us down. And I know this is something that people have been asking for a long time, saying like, okay, Ricochet's one part of the whole kind of puzzle, that it's good if you can detect cheats, it's good if you can detect if someone's computer is doing something a little bit weird, but it's always going to be a step behind. It's always going to be playing catch up with the cheats will get developed and then will come out, and then it will take time for them to be detected, and then for the programmers to be able to make Ricochet be able to stop them or to be able to detect them so the players get banned. By going after the cheat providers directly, by sort of getting legal teams involved, Activision's using the one big advantage they have, which is they've got an insane amount of money. They've got access to lawyers that can cause people real problems in real life, so they can use their kind of financial might in order to shut these companies down. And I've always heard that the reason why they don't do more of this is just that the cheat providers usually aren't in the US. You know, they're not even normally in Europe, places where Activision could reasonably bring a court case against them and expect to get some results. They're often in countries, or at least they're sort of pretending to be in countries, where it's very, very difficult for an American company like Activision to be able to sort of start legal proceedings or to have any real kind of say in it. But it seems like this time they've been able to do something, and it's not the first time this has happened. Like, it's not the first time they've been able to shut down a cheat provider, but it's the first time that I remember that there was a big wave like this, that we've seen 4 going down at once. And these are the 4 that have just immediately shut down. I would assume that there's probably more than this that haven't told their users yet, or are maybe trying to work out if they can avoid this somehow or something like this. But there's at least 4 that are shutting down. So what does this mean for you as somebody that wants to play Warzone? Does it mean that you're now going to be able to play a completely cheater-free game? Well, no, I don't think it does. After I heard about this, after I heard that all of these things had been shut down, I thought I'd get back onto Warzone this morning. I hadn't played for a few days, but I was hopping back on and I thought, maybe we'll see like there won't be any cheaters. But to be honest, while I'm playing normally, I don't really see that many people I definitely know are cheating. I very rarely see someone who's like rage hacking. Occasionally I'll see something a little bit suspicious, but maybe it's because, you know, I'm not playing high level ranked. I just got to platinum and then stopped. or because I don't really play quads, or because I've never been shadow banned, or because my kill def is like 1.4 and I don't win many games, so maybe I'm just not getting put up against people who are winning loads of games by cheating. Whatever the reason is, I don't see all that many people super blatantly cheating. I would say when I play, I see a lot of people that I'm suspicious of, like this one. You'll see as I jump out this window, I get killed by someone here super fast, and it's like, they could have reasonably heard that I was shooting outside that building. They could have reasonably pulled off these shots, but it's like enough to be a tiny bit suspicious to me. That's about the worst I normally see in terms of cheating. And I do think a lot of these people probably are cheating, the people who look a bit like this, the people who are a little bit suspicious looking. Because, you know, if you play on PlayStation 5 with cross-play off, you don't tend to see people like that at all, which makes me think, okay, there's probably a lot of people who are kind of low-level cheating, doing a decent job of hiding it. But this game was from today, after these cheat companies had been shut down, and I definitely still saw exactly the same sort of thing. That when I was playing games, there were some times where I would die and it seemed a little bit suspicious, and it made me think, oh, that guy looked like he might have been cheating a little bit. And obviously sometimes I'd die to people who I thought were completely legit and were just really, really good players. It's so hard to tell for sure, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem that Call of Duty are ever going to be facing, that people are going to have these kind of situations where they die to someone that seemed to have perfect aim, like that one as well. And whether that's a result of, yeah, somebody actually cheating, or it's just somebody who knows how to make the most of aim assist, or it's just somebody who is legitimately really, really good at aiming, it's really hard to tell. And because it's so hard to tell, it almost doesn't matter how many people are actually cheating, because the perception is already there that Warzone is a game that's full of cheaters. So if you get outplayed, or again, you get killed by somebody who's really good at using aim assist or something like that, it's still going to make you feel the same as if you were killed by a real cheater. In reality, it's very rare you ever know for sure whether you saw a cheater or not. Like, the game doesn't give you much information. Sometimes if you report them, you'll get like a notification a little while later where it will say like, hey, thanks for that report, like this a user had some action taken against them or something like that. But if you're playing Warzone a lot, it's kind of hard to match that up with your experience. And I know lots of people I've spoken to have the same kind of feeling, that if you play a lot of Warzone, you end up reporting quite a lot of people, and sometimes some people will get banned. Sometimes if you're spectating people, you'll see them get banned, but there's always the feeling that there's a lot more people who aren't getting banned. There's a lot more people who aren't getting stopped. I know I've heard some conversations about the top 250, that there's a lot of people there who have been cheating, or at least boosting, you know, teaming and things like that, that obviously Ricochet can't detect. And so it feels like the entire system is unfair, because you know there's definitely at least some people cheating, even if it's maybe not as many people as you think are. That lack of faith in the game is the real problem, and I don't think doing things like this, like even shutting down cheat providers, is going to help. Or upgrading Ricochet. Like, the only way they could ever regain that kind of trust back is by doing some kind of huge shift. Like, I'm half expecting them to do something like, okay, when Verdansk launches, the consoles by default are on console-only crossplay. Like, that would be a huge thing where suddenly everyone on Xbox and PlayStation could play knowing that they weren't going to be involved with cheaters, or at least it's very, very rare to, because I know people always say that there's ways to cheat on console, but I feel like I don't really see that. But something like that could gain your faith back. Like, if you're just playing normally, how many people do you think, if they were just playing normally, even if Activision and Call of Duty removed every single cheat from the game, they banned every cheater as soon as they turned the game on, how many people do you think would still feel the experience of cheating? You know, Warzone is a high skill gap game. There are some people that play this game, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and they are insanely good at it. The game's been out for 5 years now. You know, some people have got insanely good at Warzone, and to the average person, their abilities look very much like cheating. You know, if you're somebody who, like me, doesn't really know how to make the most of aim assist, somebody who's very, very good at manipulating it can look a little bit like they're cheating. So to answer the question in the title and in the thumbnail, did Call of Duty fix the cheating problem? No. And while I think it's a really good step, I think it's awesome that they've managed to shut down a load of these cheat providers. I think it's awesome that they're constantly working on Ricochet and finding ways to get around it. I don't think they can fix the cheating problem that way, because it's almost a matter of perception that does get reinforced by seeing real cheaters every now and then, but can't entirely be cured by not seeing cheaters. You're always going to have that kind of suspicion in the back of your mind. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next. Let me know in the comments what you think they should be doing about cheaters. I really think while turning crossplay off for console, or at least having console-only crossplay as the default, would be a huge step forward for the vast majority of Call of Duty players, it would be a pretty drastic step, because it would essentially kill Call of Duty on PC. Like, you'd end up with really long waiting times because there's less people playing on PC than there are on consoles, and all of the cheaters would be in those PC games, so you'd be way more likely to see cheaters on PC. That would be a pretty drastic step, just telling people on PC, hey, sorry about this, but you can't play the game anymore. That would be pretty big. But that's the only thing that I can think of right now that they could realistically do. If you've got any other ideas, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.